Imagine a man walking alone through a city that never sleeps. He passes bright shop windows, crowded cafes, and swarms of people addicted to attention. But he doesn't look away. He doesn't seek approval. He doesn't post where he is or who he's with. He just walks. And in that simple act, he becomes dangerous, because the world doesn't know what to do with someone who doesn't need it. Modern society was built on a beautifully packaged lie that you must be validated, noticed, included, to have worth. But this man, he rejected that silent contract. He learned to be alone. And more than that, he learned to enjoy it. While others compete for likes, he collects silences. While others are desperate to be seen, he disappears and finds peace in invisibility. He is not isolated. He is free. And that's what's frightening. Inner freedom is the greatest scandal of our time. Because a man who needs no one cannot be controlled, cannot be bought, cannot be manipulated with guilt or seduced by empty promises. He is the system's error, the bug that escapes the algorithm, the problem the world can't fix. And before you think this is arrogance, listen closely. This man doesn't think he's better. He just stopped believing he was less. He realized solitude is not a sentence. It's an initiation. He stayed in the dark long enough to realize that the light he was seeking was never going to come from outside. It wasn't easy. No one teaches a man how to be alone. In fact, they teach the opposite, that he needs someone to be whole, that he has to prove something to be accepted, that he must be desired, followed, loved, or he has no value. But this man, he stayed. When everyone ran to the bar, he stayed. When others drowned in distractions, he dove into himself. He faced what no one wants to face, the echo of his own thoughts, the pain of his own wounds, the weight of his own silence, and in that confrontation, he was reborn. You see, it's not the man with money that the system fears, it's the man with clarity. It's not the famous man that threatens the structure, it's the man with self-control. Because this kind of man doesn't need to shout, he doesn't need to show off. His presence is already unsettling. His calm is mistaken for arrogance. His solitude for a threat. But it's not about being against the world. It's about not being enslaved by it. The truth is brutal. Most of what you think you need was taught to you by those who profit from your emptiness. Do you really need a new phone or inner peace? Do you need more followers or the courage to be yourself even if no one is watching? They say, connect more. But the more you connect, the more you get lost. The more you compare, the more you get distracted. The more you feel like you're never enough. And that's why the man who needs no one is so threatening. He is living proof that there is another way to exist. He is a silent reminder that you can be whole, without an audience, without performing, without begging for love disguised as validation. This man didn't walk away from the world out of hatred. He walked away out of clarity. And when he returns, he doesn't come back the same. He comes back with eyes that see beyond the noise. With values no one gave him, he forged them. With a compass that points inward, not outward. And that, my friend, can't be bought, can't be advertised, can't be understood by any algorithm. That's why he's dangerous. They will try to label him. They'll say he's cold, antisocial, difficult to deal with. But what they really mean is this. He doesn't rely on anyone to be who he is, and that breaks the logic of everything they were taught. Because today's system stands on an invisible pillar, the need to belong to a group, to a tribe, to an ideology, to a standard. And this man, who belongs to himself, shatters that pillar. It's not that he rejects love. On the contrary, he values it too much to accept it in a watered-down version. It's not that he despises connection, but he refuses to build it on top of emotional hunger. He wants depth, not distraction. Truth, not comforting illusions. This kind of man doesn't play ordinary social games. He doesn't smile to please. He doesn't fake to be accepted. He doesn't reshape his soul to fit into just any mold. And that's why he unsettles people. Because his existence exposes the lie that we must become something else to be loved. That we must constantly prove ourselves. That we must always be available, always visible, always pleasant. No. This man proves the opposite. That real strength is staying true to yourself. even if the price is loneliness. But here lies the paradox. He is not alone. He is at peace. And what seems like isolation is actually freedom. You see, the modern world is full of people who are surrounded but empty, full of likes but starving for meaning, surrounded by noise yet afraid to face silence. They say this man is strange, but strange is feeling lost while having everything around you. Strange is depending on others' opinions for your self-esteem. Strange is selling your soul in exchange for fleeting relevance. Strange is living to impress and dying without ever having lived. And the man who needs no one has already understood all of this. He realized that every excess hides a lack, that those who talk too much are often hiding something, that those who show off too much are usually crying for help, and that those who crave applause are always on the edge of despair. This man, on the other hand, learned to applaud himself, not out of vanity, but out of recognition. Recognition of the effort it takes not to lose himself, the effort to remain whole in a world that rewards pretense. And the more he knows himself, the less he bows. He has been wounded, he has been rejected, he has been abandoned, but he survived. And not only did he survive, he bloomed in the desert. And now he no longer accepts crumbs, not of love, not of attention, not of respect. He built an inner empire, and that can't be taken from him. The curious thing is, even without seeking, this man attracts, because there's something magnetic about someone who is whole, something rare, something that escapes the eyes but pierces the soul. Others feel it, even if they don't understand it, and some feel threatened, because he is what many wish they could be, but are too afraid to try. Being this kind of man means walking off the beaten path. It means losing friends who only loved your weaker version. It means upsetting family members who expected blind obedience. It means facing judgmental stares and not bowing. But what this man gained is immeasurable. He gained clarity. He gained authenticity. He gained time because he stopped spending energy pleasing those who never truly saw him. And he gained presence, real presence, the kind that doesn't need a stage because it is felt in silence. This type of man doesn't seek conflict, but he is dangerous to systems that feed on conformity. He is dangerous to relationships built on dependency. He is dangerous to leaders who need submissive followers because he doesn't follow. He walks. He doesn't obey orders without first confronting them. He doesn't accept truths without first tearing them apart from within. And he doesn't surrender to fear because he's already walked through it alone. This man needs no one. And that's why, when he chooses to be with someone, it's pure. It's real. It's not a transaction, it's an encounter. And that changes everything. This man understood early on that freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's not needing what others need just to feel alive. He's seen what happens when you build your identity through the eyes of others. All it takes is for someone to look away, and you vanish. But him, he no longer dissolves in other people's expectations, because his foundation is within, rooted in what cannot be bought, what cannot be posted, what cannot be measured. And that foundation was forged in the fire of silence, in the place where no one applauds, where no one sees, where the mirror has no filters, and the soul cannot lie. This man learned to sit in the dark, to endure absence, to accept lack as a teacher, not an enemy. And in that process, he discovered something few dare to admit. Most people don't love, they just need someone to escape from themselves, need company to avoid facing the void, need applause to forget how small they feel. But this man does not need. He prefers painful truth over comfortable illusion, honest solitude over weakening company, full silence over empty conversation. He understands that not all affection is healing, and not all absence is loss. In fact, some absences are disguised liberations, and he learned to be grateful for them, because every time someone walked away, he had the chance to walk closer to himself. Every door that closed pushed him inward, and inside, he built castles where once there were only ruins. Do you want to know why this man is the greatest threat to society? Because he doesn't consume in desperation. He chooses. He reflects. He doesn't buy to become someone. He already is. And a society that survives off people's insecurity has no idea what to do with someone who already feels whole. He isn't easily influenced, doesn't follow trends, doesn't chase status, because he realized that what glitters rarely has value, and what has value rarely glitters. This man learned to move in silence, to observe more than speak, to hear what isn't said, to spot intentions hidden behind pretty words, and that makes him nearly invincible. He doesn't react. He understands. He doesn't rush. He sees deeper, and that's why he makes people uncomfortable. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, he only wants to understand. In a world where everyone competes to stand out, he walks beneath, in the underground of truth. In a world where everyone sells versions of themselves, he lives as he is, even if it costs him strange looks and closed doors. But the most fascinating part is, he carries no anger. He doesn't hate others for still being trapped. He understands. Because he's been there, he's wanted to be loved at any cost. He sought approval from people who never truly saw him. He's lied to himself just to feel accepted. But one day the cost became too high, and he broke. He tore up the scripts written for him, unlearned the rules that weakened him, and in the deepest silence, he was reborn. Now he carries something no diploma teaches, something no company sells, something no relationship can replace: emotional self-sufficiency. He gives himself what he needs, listens to himself, consoles himself, confronts himself, lifts himself up. And because of that, when he looks at the world, it's not with desire, but with discernment. He doesn't want everything. He wants what matters, and that makes him rare, and because of that, dangerous. He doesn't want to be famous, he wants to be free. And that's the difference the world doesn't understand. Fame is noise, freedom is silence. Fame is distraction, freedom is clarity. Fame is the world seeing you. Freedom is you seeing yourself. This man chose to see himself, even if no one else does. While so many scream, "Look at me, love me, accept me," he remains in silence, and that silence thunders. Because he doesn't need to be accepted to accept himself, doesn't need applause to respect himself, doesn't need followers to know where he's going. And that makes him a threat to a system that survives off your insecurity. Because the truth is, a man who is sure of himself is a man who cannot be sold. Not by brands, not by parties, not by gurus, not by algorithms. He has already found what everyone else is searching for, inside. And once you find something within, no one can take it. This man understood that solitude isn't the absence of love. It's the presence of identity. It's when the soul stops screaming, because it was finally heard. It's when the empty spaces no longer beg for distraction. They ask for respect. He stopped begging for attention, stopped shrinking himself to fit, stopped offering watered-down versions of himself just to not disturb. And now, when he walks into a room, he doesn't need to introduce himself. His presence speaks. He doesn't demand respect. He is respect. And that isn't learned in books, it's learned in pain, in loss, in abandonment, in the silent reconstruction no one sees. But that changes everything. This man learned the difference between being alone and being empty. He realized that some of the fullest moments in life happen in silence. An afternoon reading, a coffee alone, a walk with no destination, a gaze in the mirror that doesn't look away. And in those simple moments, he found more truth than in 1,000 parties, 1,000 likes, 1,000 promises. He realized people aren't in a rush to live. They're in a rush to escape. Escape the silence. Escape inner confrontation. Escape the truth. But him, he stopped running. He sat with his fears, poured coffee for his sadness, befriended his flaws, and finally, forgave himself. And that is why he is dangerous. Because nothing holds him anymore. Nothing defines him. Nothing controls him. You can't guilt trip him. He's already redeemed himself. You can't threaten him with rejection. He's already learned to be enough. You can't buy him with status. He's already seen through the bankruptcy of it all. He sees the world with clean eyes. And those who see with clean eyes see what others don't want to show. This man doesn't hate the world, but he doesn't idealize it either. He faces it as it is, with all its vanity, illusions, and manipulation. And he doesn't let it contaminate him. He doesn't want to be a martyr. He doesn't want to prove anything. He only wants to live in peace and not trade that peace for scraps. But here's the secret few understand. Those who have peace inside threaten everyone who lives off external chaos. That's why they try to silence him, try to diminish him, try to laugh at him, but it doesn't work, because he has already seen himself stripped of everything. And even then, he was someone whole, someone present, someone real. And now that he's tasted truth, appearances no longer satisfy him. This man, the one who needs no one, wasn't born ready. He was forged in nights where the only voice in the room was fear whispering that he'd never be enough. Forged in days when he looked into the eyes of someone who promised love and saw reflections of need, not affection. Forged when he realized he'd keep feeling empty as long as he searched outside for what can only be found within. Today he carries invisible marks, not tattoos from exotic trips nor scars from physical battles, but inner grooves where dependency once lived. There he planted seeds of self-awareness, and from those seeds grew 4 roots no one can uproot. Clarity of purpose, invisible discipline, unbreakable self-compassion, the courage to stay. He wakes up knowing why he puts his feet on the ground. Not because a boss is waiting, not because society demands it, but because his own compass points to a silent north. And when someone tries to distract him with promises of hollow success, he smiles. The kind of smile that disarms, because it comes from someone who's already defined success for himself. His discipline isn't the kind from motivational videos. It's the discipline of keeping a quiet heart while the world screams, of staying silent when vanity demands attention. It's the invisible strength only known to those who face themselves. He treats himself with a gentleness no one ever taught him, and that's why he no longer accepts relationships where aggression is disguised as love. He is enough, and being enough is the only way to choose, not depend. When the social wind changes direction, he doesn't turn, he remains. Because those who change colors to please never discover their own tone. Now he walks the streets without hurry. He sees in others' eyes the reflection of battles he's already fought. And when someone asks for advice, he offers a mirror. Look within. Stay. Don't run. Some don't understand. They prefer ready-made formulas. He knows. Truth doesn't fit in checklists. But the question remains, why is this man the greatest threat to society? Because he proves it's possible to live off script, that the insecurity market collapses when you cancel your subscription to neediness, that no algorithm understands someone who seeks meaning, not clicks, and that if one person can do it, others can too. Systems don't fear individuals, they fear examples. And maybe you're hearing this thinking, I wish I were that man, but I don't know where to begin. Then begin by staying. Stay when boredom arrives. Stay when anxiety begs for distraction. Stay when loneliness screams. Stay until the internal noise dissolves. Stay until your own presence becomes enough. And when the world demands you adapt, remember, too much adaptation is camouflage, and too much camouflage is disappearing from yourself. You weren't born to please. You were born to remain whole. But yes, there will be consequences. People will try to pull you back. Fragile relationships will collapse. The marketing of emptiness will lose you as a client. And now and then, fear will return. The old voice will try to convince you, go back. It's easier to be accepted than to be real. But in that moment, you'll remember, you've already faced the night. You've already danced with your ghosts. And freedom is worth more than any comfort that can be bought. Let's go back to the beginning. The man in the cafe, earbuds in, a book. The city around him addicted to distraction. He doesn't want to prove anything. He's already won, because he doesn't need an audience. He turns the page, smiles in silence, and remains, dangerously free, deeply at peace, silently unforgivable in the eyes of a system that needs dependence to survive. If this message sparked something in you, do 2 things. Share it with someone who's ready, and before watching another video, turn everything off. Sit in silence and ask yourself, what do I really need to feel alive? If the answer doesn't come from within, it's not freedom, it's dependency. Now get up, walk in silence. Look at the world as if it were a stage, and choose not to perform. Because now you know, the man who needs no one is, and always will be, the greatest threat to any society built on need. And that threat can begin with you, right now.